And so resiliency is whatever the community that has experienced that disaster in that moment, it's the most that they're capable of in the environment in that moment, and what it is that they're going to decide their future looks like, because it's not going to be the same community that it was pre-disaster. And I think just a little bit more nuanced of what resiliency really means would be really helpful in the current environment, because we talk about, FEMA talks about whole community, but then how do you actually make that happen, right? And it's a lot of those sort of catchy ideas that require a lot of work. And I think that we need to do a better job in the industry of explaining that we cannot solve all of the problems. We cannot build back better. We can do a little bit better a lot of times. And I think that's what long-term resiliency at the sort of macro level looks like.
I think that's a great way to look at it. And if you're watching the podcast, you know that I'm talking about what I see is the big, idea right now is we've always worked on the preparedness side, no matter where we are in terms of, crisis, emergency planning. But it's really leaning forward, I think, more into understanding risk and to building that resilience before you need it, right? So to speak. And I think
Absolutely.
those are where the synergies really come in. So thank you for your answer on that. Also, let's dive in, because you're sitting on the emergency management community side, and I hear the terms crisis and emergency kind of used interchangeably, whether it's crisis management, emergency management. I'd love to hear from you. What's your take? What are the alignments and what are the differences?
So I think emergency sort of encaptures all of it, right? Because it's a nice broad term. I think a crisis is in the moment. That the crisis is. My wife and I were just talking about the submersible, right? And it was a tragedy. It was a crisis. It was not a disaster. It did not exceed the local community's ability to respond. It did not have long-lasting impact for people who were not immediately impacted.